So we are almost at the end of this chapter of Eiruv. So we mentioned this a few times, but now this is specifically about how to set the Eiruv aside and how to keep it and make sure that it's not gone. So it is customary to use matzah for the Eiruv as it has a long shelf life and can continue to serve as the Eiruv for as long as it remains edible. Common practice is to set aside a new Eiruv before Pesach each year and to practice and to recite the bracha and the formula for setting aside the Eiruv of the upcoming year. Detailed below. In many communities, the rabbi is given the honor of performing this ritual on behalf of the community, even if the residents forgot to set aside a new Eruv before Pesach, as long as the old Eruv is still in existence. They used to have problem of mice in shuls and churches, whatever. So one may continue carrying throughout the enclosed area. The Eruv must be placed in one box or bag because it's a food of 2 meals. And so for sure a matzah box contains more than 2 meals. The custom is to leave it in the synagogue or nearby, as the synagogue is a communal space. Before setting aside the eruv, one must make sure that it belongs to all residents of the city. Therefore, the person charged with setting aside the eruv first lifts the matzah and 1 tefach with the intent to acquire them on behalf of all the city's residents. In order for him to acquire the matzahs successfully, they must have previously belonged to a different person. Before acquiring the eruv and setting it aside, the following bracha must be recited. Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctified us with his mitzvot and commanded us concerning the mitzvah of eruv. So this is one of the brachot that the rabbis wrote for this mitzvah. Afterwards, he should recite, with this eruv, it shall be permitted to us and all the people living here in town, city, or courtyard to bring things in and out from the houses to the yard, and from the yard to the houses, from house to house, from yard to yard, from roof to roof, from house and yards to alleyways, and from alleyways to houses and yards in this city, for us, all who live here, and whoever joins us during all upcoming Shabbatot and holidays. So I am embarrassed to say that I've never ever seen this mitzvah being performed. I mean, I've always saw the matzah box on top of the aron, which I think is also a problem because the aron has its own kedusha. But I've never ever heard that this being recited, and it reminds me very much of the same of almost the same language for the Eiruv Tavshilin, which we mentioned in passing when we started this. Eiruv Tavshilin means to merge or to mix food that will be eaten on Shabbat, and so we're allowed to prepare on Yantiv for Shabbat if we did this Eiruv Tavshilin. But in case people forgot, even the Art Scroll Siddur suggests that the person should say L'chol Adarim Ba'ir Azot, to all those who live in this city. And also what's important to realize is in Bava Batra, they discuss how somebody becomes a resident of the city, and they say that it's 12 months because sometimes people decide that they want to move back to where they were from, and so it's important to keep that in mind. Basically, somebody Jewish moving into our community should know that on their behalf we already have this eruv set aside. So as today is Friday, I thought that the most appropriate is to give a little bit of history of how the word Baruch, blessed, is said in the Torah. So there's 3 people, and all 3 were not Jewish when they said it. They're the ones who coined the term Baruch Hashem, blessed is Hashem. And so the first one is Noach, when he talks about his 3 sons, what Ham and Canaan did, but then he continues with Baruch Hashem Elohei Shem, may Hashem be blessed, the God of Shem, and V'yichnan Eved Lamo. So before the Torah was given, for sure he wasn't Jewish, but we might say that he technically was, but he's not listed in one of the 48 prophets. The second one was in our Parsha, where the servant of Abraham gives blessing to Hashem after he met Rebecca, and he says, "Vayomer Baruch Adonai Elohei Adoni Avraham, asher lo azav chasdo v'amito me'im Adoni, anochi b'derech nachani Adonai beit achei Adoni." For somebody who's not Jewish, he talks a lot about Hashem and about God, and even in this just one sentence, he gives praise and thanks to Hashem, and so he's the second person that used Baruch Hashem. And there's opinion in Rashi even that he was a Canaanite because when they have the discussion about going and finding the shidduch, Abraham says, "Ulai lo tove," sorry, the servant says, "Ulai lo tove isha lalechet acharai." Maybe the woman will not be willing to go to follow me back to the land, and Abraham says. That lifnei aleminu are small, and the Rashi says that because Eliezer himself had a daughter, and because he was a Canaanite, according to Rashi, that's why Abraham did not see that as an option. And the third, I think, is on the verge because our rabbis argue or debate, sorry, when did Yitro actually come to the desert? Was it before the Torah was given or after? But either way, he wasn't yet a convert. And so after he hears from Moshe everything that happened to them with the Exodus, Vayomer Yitro Baruch Adonai Asher Hitzil Etchem Miyad Mitzrayim Miyad Paro, that blessed is Hashem who saved you from the Egyptians and from the Pharaoh, Asher Hitzil Et Ha'am Mitachat Yad Mitzrayim. And so the only three in the Torah who ever said this praise are Noach, Eliezer, or the servant, and Yitro. And there's other mentions in the book of Kings. King Hiram, also not Jewish, but in also in Kings and also in Divrei Yamim, King David and King Solomon both say Baruch Hashem. So, but these are the only three in the whole Torah that say that phrase in different contexts, of course. And so we should all be blessed and learning about the blessing for Eruvin and the blessing for Shabbat. And I'll wish everybody a very good Shabbos.